My oldest daughter has turned 11, and she's in 6th grade in middle school. And I can tell that puberty is beginning with her. She's crazy. And she's mean as a snake. And we're scared to death of her, but we just tiptoe around her. She cries a lot. She doesn't know why, and she tells us, I don't know why I'm crying. And we just try to get through it. But I'm telling you, she can run a household. She's a grown woman. She has been ever since she got here. So I said, you're going to have to come in here, baby. I said, your daddy's going to take care of y'all. I'm going to Nashville for like 3 days. She bust out crying. I said, what's wrong? She said, don't leave us with him. He doesn't know where the food is. I said, well, that's why you're in charge. And she is. God love her. But my girls are emotional, and I don't mean to talk about them because I love them, and I know they'll visit me in the nursing home. But they are lunatics. My husband says they're psycho, and they need therapy. And I'll give you all an example. I can be in the pickup line at school, and this happened when they were in 1st grade, and it happens every day when I pick them up at school now. I'm sitting in the pickup line, and I can see them come out, and they are in a good mood. And they're goosing each other and giggling and doing and talking and having a good time. They're waving to the teachers and the principal. See you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over to my vehicle. Get in. Shut the door. My 11-year-old take her backpack and sling it and hit me in the back of the head with it. Every day she says something like this. I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why'd you have her? And then my baby will be sitting up there in a daze. She'll be going, Mama, 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 Mama. What? Mama, Mama, Mama. What? I'm listening. She asked me some of the craziest things. One day she said to me, did Jesus ever have head lice? How do you answer something like that? I said, well, baby, if he did, I know he healed it. And then my girls would be whipping each other in the back seat and telling each other how bad they hate each other and they wished each other were dead. And then my sweet boy will come out. He'll get in and he'll say, you know, they're building a new Home Depot up on 281. Just as happy-go-lucky. He's just like this. He's been like that all of his life. He's 14. He's never sassed me. I know people say it's coming. I'm telling you, I don't think it will. And I'm in love with him. My husband says I have an unhealthy obsession with him. Whatever. And I tell you, for you little mamas out there, you young mamas that are going through, you know, got a bunch of little children vomiting in the carpet, peeing in the closet. When you're trying to pee and they like slide ham under the door and say, can you open this, Mom? I know what y'all want for Mother's Day. Y'all want an Ambien and a hotel room. I hope y'all get it. I hope y'all get it. When you get to be my age, and I'm 51 years old, honey, you beg your little children to come home and be up your butthole. I beg them and try to hold money over their head. All right, but they're all home. I'm so thankful, so grateful. Okay, y'all, we got a big night ahead of us. Y'all are precious. I want to talk to y'all about, because I am 51 and going through hormonal changes. Okay, I am with their daddy, and these children all walked off and left me with him. And he's so not fun. And he can't help it. He's that way because he has to make a living for all of us. And he's got a lot on us, and all the money's going out the window. And, you know, because we got 2 in college, we just had 1 get married. But he and I are having to adjust being together for the first time in how many years, you know, before we got married. And so he sends me emoji, kissy faces, and stuff like that. But I am low on progesterone and testosterone. He's low on testosterone, praise God. Bathing suit season, Lord. I've always worn a miracle suit, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, but I did a show for a group here in Knoxville, and they were darling. And after I did it, a woman came up to me and she goes, Leanne, are you not going to Sears and buying you a swim dress? And I thought, well, I didn't know my life was over. So she said, you need to go to Sears or order it online with Lands End. And it's a swim dress. She goes, you're going to love it. I promise you. Okay, so I go to Sears at Westtown Mall. When's the last time any of y'all went to Sears at Westtown Mall? There's not a soul in the Westtown Mall Sears. They've got the lights on. There's nobody working. There's nobody there shopping. I swear I think they're running dope out of Sears. But I got me a swim dress, and I am beautiful in it. And I'll tell you why, because it shows my arms. My arms the only thing I've got left living for. And they are my daddy's. Jimmy Fletcher, I got them from him. My sister gets so mad because she didn't get them, and she'll call me and say, you got daddy's arms, and just hang up on me. But this swim dress, okay, it cinches up through here, so it's real flattering right there. And then it comes down and hides all this boogity-boo I got going on right here. And I am beautiful in it. I hate to say that. It kind of looks like Titanic, but for years I wore a miracle suit. Okay, the miracle suit is in Dillard's and Bell, Macy's, are all over. And there'll be hundreds of them in a big area at a department store. And there's a tag hanging from all of them that says, miracle suit. Lose 10 pounds in 10 minutes. And you do, because you sweat yourself to death trying to get it on. Because the miracle suit has a girdle in it. They're one piece. So the girdle is right through here, so it smooths you out real pretty through here. You look really good because it squeezes your fat out in all the other. all the other directions, all the other holes. And I would buy it because I felt desperate and I didn't know what else to do. And I didn't feel pretty in them. And then I'd buy a sarong and wrap it around my whole body. And then sit under an umbrella and act like I was reading. But I bought them every year. I had them all the time. And I look back in videos from vacations and I've got them on and it's awful. Okay, so my girlfriend, the one with poop, you remember her? Okay, she found out that I had one. She was like, oh my gosh, I want one. So she drove down from Greenville, Tennessee. And they went to the Dillards. And she brought her 14-year-old daughter with her, and they got in the dressing room at Dillard's, and the 14-year-old was sacking her mama up in this bathing suit. And her 14-year-old said, Mom, this is so gross. Put it back, let's get out of here. She said, I can't. He came to me in, he was in middle school or high school, and he's very spiritually mature, has always been. I didn't do it. Their daddy didn't do it. God did it. But we call him our little Billy Graham. But anywho, so he was dating a little girl, and he came home, and I said, what y'all been doing? And he said, we've been watching a movie and we were kissing. I said, oh, that's normal. That's okay. But I said, baby, before you know it, one thing can get out of hand. You've got your arm around somebody and then you've got your hand on her leg. Things can get out of control. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said to me, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship. On a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now. I could get a new purse out of that. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Youth groups. And we've all, here in the South, we've all been raised in church, Did y'all ever go to a lock-in? What little fool came up with that? Y'all know that it was some precious little woman maybe, and they were like, they were in a committee meeting, and she was like, oh gosh, y'all, we need to come up for something for all the hormonal teenagers. I know. We'll put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. Well, all over the United States, they've got this thing called competition cheer. And it's kind of like, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like Honey Boo Boo meets the Olympics, really. It's gymnast. They're gymnasts. And there's one in Knoxville called the Sharks. And they said, drop your baby off and she can try out to audition, whatever you want to call it. So I dropped her off, and they ended up putting her on a bad mamma jamma team because all the little children her age came up to hear on her. And somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they were thrilled with her, and they treated us like royalty. But anyway, they said, you're going to come in here twice a week, learn a 2-minute routine. It's going to cost you $150 a month. It's like, okay. They said, there's a uniform that you're going to order, and it comes to here. It's going to expose her stomach. She's going to have a tiny skirt on with a slit in it with a glitter panty underneath it. It's $300. I said, that's a whore outfit. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. So that all the little children could look alike. And they said, y'all are going to travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. So we went to like Cincinnati or Atlanta, and we had to get hotel rooms and the gas and all of that. And then you drive up to a big coliseum, a huge coliseum, and there's tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And my husband said, there could be pedophiles here. This is the awfulest thing I've ever, something's not right. Okay, so then they said, you're going to pay $150 for your baby to be in this competition. You're going to have to pay $30 to put a band on to get in and watch your baby in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Okay. They start out with the babies, so it goes from 5 to 18 ages. So the babies come out in a tiny little skirt about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front doing every move to keep their baby on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they move up throughout the day into my baby's age, and they're the reef sharks. They call out that name, honey, for 2.5 minutes. My baby throws little children up in the air, flinging little children, broken out in a sweat, working like a Trojan. Did you see my Spanx? Okay. All right. One of my girls said I look like Miley Cyrus in the Wrecking Ball in my Spanx. But anyway, so she throws these little children up. The little children she's throwing up in the air are the flyers. They call them the flyers. And they're freakishly tiny little children. I don't know where these people come from. Their mamas are freakishly tiny. I mean, I come from big people. I've got thick ankles. I can work in the fields. And the whole time she's throwing them up there, these little girls are going. Knows why, really. So at the end of the routine, after the 2.5 minutes, the finale, everybody hunkers down on the stage, puts their forehead on the stage, and my baby is the finale. She pops up and has a little child's foot in her hand and holds that child's foot. I would put it all the way up, but my dress is tight in the back. But anyway, she holds this little child up over her head. Are y'all listening to me? I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, could you hold her up over your head or vice versa? I mean, you know, it's a big deal. So anyway, everybody went nuts. But she said, after it was over, she goes, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go back to playing. She ended up playing volleyball the rest of her childhood. But she said, I'm keeping that whore outfit. She said, I'm going to get married. No, he has been a wonderful provider, and he's worked like a dog for us and done without so that we could have. But all that money going out and taking care of a family all those years, that's hard on a man. It's hard on a man. It's made him a real butthole. And does not believe in anybody being comfortable. Really. He does not believe in luxury. He believes in suffering. And this is one thing that he strongly believes in. He believes in all of our family driving cars until the wheels fall off in the interstate. he finds joy having to come get somebody. All my children have driven old cars that look like they're about to fall apart. This is what he does for me. He'll buy me a car about a year old, pay cash for it, and then make me drive it the rest of my life. I put my foot down last year because I was driving a 2009 white Honda Pilot. If you don't know what that model looks like, it looks like I was delivering Lay's potato chips. And I never felt pretty in it. I really did. It had over 235,000 miles on it. And the lights started flashing at it saying, "Get out, Leanne. Get out." He drives a 2007 Tahoe, and the T and the A are missing. And if I was home tomorrow, we would be pulling up in that big Tahoe to the Baptist church in the doorway. And when church is over, my husband wants out of there and doesn't want to talk to anybody. And see, that's my time to fellowship. And he drives that big old Tahoe up to the front door of the Baptist church and goes, and he always says, "You're the last one in the parking lot." I said, "There's going to be a lot of people at my funeral." I've built relationships with people. He goes, "Okay, fine. I'll have to have mine in a yogurt shop." She's called me today and said, "Mom, are you okay? How did your show go last night?" And I go, "Good." So the day before, she goes, "Did you make it to Huntsville?" I said, "Yes, baby. Thank you. Tell your daddy." Curtis, he was so in love with me, honey. Stalked me, bought me presents, did all that. We will be married 29 years. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I truly believe that he would not pull me out of a burning vehicle. Okay, here's something that's different. Now that they're having little children, so different than when I had mine. There was a book that I read in and out, and I bet a bunch of y'all that are my age read this one too. What to Expect When You're Expecting. Yeah, it was a hateful book. It was a hateful book, but it was true. And they would say things to you like, "You're going to have a hemorrhoid in the 7th month on the 4th day." At 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And you'll be like, back then, everybody was terrified about food allergies, and that was a big thing that they stressed, and our pediatricians. And I remember having this whole big chart in my kitchen on the wall that told me, my boy, I wouldn't let him have sweet potatoes until August after I had cleared the squash in July. That just crazy. And I did perfect with him. The second one came along, did okay with her, really did. That third one came along. We were at the McDonald's. I had two playing one in the balls and one up in a tube. And my baby child did not have any teeth yet. She was in a high chair, and I threw a cheeseburger onto her high chair, and she gummed it down. And a woman came over the intercom and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, but your baby has pooped in the tube." So then I would have to go up in the tube, get my baby, pull my baby down through the tube, Do y'all remember playing in the balls? My children love the balls. And Lord, we had a ball going. Me and my friends would go to anywhere that they had a bunch of balls and tubes, and little children would be playing in a dirty diaper and swim by on top of the balls. And then like a chicken nugget, they're going through. You think about all this with COVID. There's no way they'd let any of that happen. Good night. You think of Chuck E. Cheese? That was a free-for-all. Mine loved it. Okay. Let me tell y'all this. Baby food has changed, and I didn't know this. When I was having my babies, you had little baby food jars. They've still got maybe 2 of those on the grocery store thing. Now it's in pouches. Everything's in pouches, and I don't think they're worried about food allergies. My grandbaby had a pouch that had turmeric, cashews, and squash in it, all squished together. And now they don't feed babies with spoons. They just squirt that pouch in their mouth. Everything's on the go. They just squirt and go, squirt and go. And I'm worried about it. I really am. I think there's going to be a whole generation that doesn't know how to use utensils. Okay, the 5 love languages. All right. Me and Chuck Morgan in Sunday school class went on a retreat, and they talked to us about the 5 love languages. You know, and it's written by little Gary Chapman, who is a doll and tiny and does, that man's probably getting in his 90s, and he does sit-ups every day. And that little thing, and I got to meet him later. He was a doll. But anyway, the 5 love languages, if you don't know about that, you've got to get it. There was a 5 love languages for your marriage, and then there's one for your children. And you need to get that. Everybody's got a love language. And you take the test. You got to read the book and take the test. Well, you don't read the book. I didn't. But you can take the test. I like to read books about Hollywood murder. So, anyway, you take the test, and then you can, and your husband takes the test, and you find out what his love language is, and he finds out what your love language is. And if you find that out, then you can feed them their love language. And then, so I can feed Chuck Morgan his love language, and then his love tank feels full. If I don't, he could go to work and be at a water fountain, and some whore comes up to him and starts feeding him his love language, and then he feels a tingle, and then Satan swoops in. So these are the 5 love languages. Quality time. If you may know somebody that just wants you to sit on the couch and watch ESPN with them. Something like that. Then there's gifts. That's my sister's love language. It doesn't have to be something expensive. Just so you thought of her, if you buy her a card and a rose from the grocery store, she'll bawl her eyes out. And then there's words of affirmation. That's mine. But physical touch. Physical touch, which I know every woman in here is like, that's my husband. Physical touch. But it's not that kind of physical touch. We're talking about the physical, when people that just want to hug you and squeeze on you and all that all the time. That's their love language, is physical touch. But women think, that's my husband's, and he's on me like a duck on a June bug. But that's not the... All right, and then there's words of affirmation. That's mine. So all Chuck Morgan has to do is say, you look beautiful tonight. You are a good mama. That Trisha Yearwood's chicken piccata is to die for. And then my love tank feels full, and then I'm willing to do something vulgar with him. And then he gives me money to get my hair highlighted. See? It works out, It's God's way. And then he came to me he was in middle school or high school, and he's very spiritually mature, has always been. I didn't do it. Their daddy didn't do it. God did it. But we call him our little Billy Graham. But anywho, so he was dating a little girl, and he came home, and I said, what y'all been doing? And he said, we've been watching a movie, and we were kissing. I said, oh, that's normal. That's okay. But I said, baby, before you know it, one thing can get out of hand. You got your arm around somebody, and then you got your hand on her leg. Things can get out of control. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said to me, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship. On a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now. I could get a new purse out of that. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Youth groups. And we've all, here in the South, we've all been raised in church, Did y'all ever go to a lock-in? What little fool came up with that? Y'all know that it was some precious little woman maybe, and they were like, they were in a committee meeting, and she was like, oh gosh, y'all, we need to come up for something for all the hormonal teenagers. I know. We'll put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. It goes from 5 to 18, so the little 5-year-olds come out, and they are yummy, and you could eat their lips off. And they've got little bitty skirts on about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s, and they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front, making every move that their little children are making. Because those little children are babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. They can't remember their act. So they go all the way up until they get to my baby's age, and my baby comes out, reef sharks. And for 2.5 minutes, my baby throws little children up in the air. Broken out in a sweat. Working like a Trojan. And the whole time, it's the most freakishly tiny little people you've ever seen that she's throwing up in the air. Their little mamas are freakish, tiny little people too. I'm from farming country in Middle Tennessee. We grew dark fired tobacco, so I've got thick ankles. I can work in the fields. I don't know who these people are. I don't know how they birthed a little baby. Their little cervix. So these freakishly tiny little children are up on top, and the whole time she's throwing them in the air, they're doing this. And nobody knows why. But this goes on for 2.5 minutes, and then the finale. All the little children hunker down on the stage, and the finale was my baby. They had my baby hop up out of that crowd with a child's foot in her hand. So y'all get what I'm saying. She had a human being up over her head with one arm. And that little girl's doing some kind of something up on top. My baby was a rock star. Thank you. I mean, really, I don't know when's the last, I had never held one of my friends up over my head with one foot in my hand. It's a big deal. And the feminine boys went nuts. And they wanted her to stay so bad. They were like, we want you to stay. And she was like, I'm okay. I've got it out of my system. I'm okay. She said, but I'm keeping this whore outfit. She still has it. She says she's going to get married in it. But anyway.
I thought this, especially my very first one with Paula Dean attached and Warner Brothers, it was Tom Warner and, ABC bought it before we could get out of the parking lot.
Right.
And I had a showcase at Laugh Factory, and I knew I had done well. I knew I'd done well. It was one of those things in my career where I thought I just killed that.
Yeah.
And I thought I was on top of the world, and people were calling and wanting to do interviews with me and all that. And then one day they just call and they go, "It's over. There's a writer's strike." I was like, and my husband bought me a dog, this old beagle that's laying down here snoring, to help me get through it because I was devastated. I thought that was it. And me as a comedian growing up, my idea of stardom is a sitcom. I wanted to be Ray Romano, Roseanne. That was my dream, Tim Allen. And then, so that when that ended, I was devastated. I think I went into a clinical depression.
I understand.
And then I got the second deal and thought Matt Williams had created Roseanne and Home Improvement. Nick at Night came after me.
Yeah.
They gave us money to shoot a pilot. What happened with that? Matt Williams said, Leanne, I think this is more of a kid's Disney skunk is loose in the living room kind of thing. And he goes, and I don't do that. And can you trust me? And I said, yeah. So we took it from Nick at Night. And I think it may have gone with, I say that, I don't know. And then TV Land wanted it. And then I knew the minute they said, yeah, we want it. They held on to it for 9 months. And I knew in my heart, they don't want this. They don't want it. And I don't know what they're doing, but they don't want this.
Yeah.
And I feel like I think people are, when I come out to LA and we pitch in meetings, I think people are fascinated by me. I think they think, oh, look at her, like an animal in the wild kind of.
Yeah.
Look at her. But I don't know what it's just, but I know people that have had 9 deals and didn't get anything, so. All my children are yummy and I'm in love with them and I love my girls, and I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. Because he is now since married and gone off with his wife and her people. And that's what boys do. They cling to their wife. That's biblical. He said to me, Mom, she is now my immediate family. You are my extended. That's what he said to me right before they got married. And he said, Mom, that's biblical. I'm supposed to cling to my wife. And I thought, why did I show him the Bible? Well, he has always been spiritually mature. We call him our little Billy Graham. My husband and I, we didn't do it. God did it. I'm full of sin. Okay. I've been washed in the blood, but I've been a horrible, horrible person. Not too bad, but okay. So this baby has been just like an old man all of his life. Let me give you an example. He had a little girlfriend in high school, and he would go over to her house and they'd watch movies. And he came home one night and he used to tell me everything. And I said, what y'all been doing? He said, well, we've been watching television and kissing on the couch. And I said, okay, baby, okay. That's all right. That's normal.
But I said, you know, before you know it, you've got your hand on somebody's leg, your arm around, and you know, things can get out of control. And I just say, slow it down. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship on a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now, because I could get a new purse out of that. Okay, y'all, have you ever heard of lock-in? I know everybody in here that has been from Chattanooga has probably been raised in church. Okay, I don't know who that little darling, sweet fool was that came up with the lock-in. Probably a little woman in a committee meeting. And she probably said, oh gosh, y'all, let's come up with something for all the hormonal teenagers. Let's gather them up and put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. My middle one, we go and get spray tans together, and I love them, and I feel thinner in them. If you're going through a hard time, go get a spray tan. Makes you feel like a movie star. Okay, well, we went the other night, and this is the difference for you young mamas out there, like women going like in your 20s and 30s and even in your 40s when you still are, you know, have life left in you. Okay, there's something happens to you when you're in your 50s, and it is wonderful. You don't care, okay? You don't care about anything. All right, we go to get a spray tan. And y'all know about Snapchat. There's a thing called Snapchat where you can video somebody and send it to your friend. Okay. Or send it out to the world, I guess. All right. I'm completely naked with a plastic bag on my head. In the spray tanning thing, and it's like a car wash. It does this. And then you do. And then you do, and then you do. Okay. And when it's cold outside, it feels like needles going in you. It's so cold. Oh, that's awful. But anyway, she started filming me on Snapchat, completely nude. Now, in my 30s and 40s, I would have been hysterical, and I would have been in a bowl, and I would have been so torn up. In your 50s, at first I was like, and then I was like, I don't care. I think I may have gone. I don't care. I don't care. It's a wonderful feeling. I hope y'all can all get to that one day where you don't care. Honey, it's wonderful. I just don't care. Okay. All right, she is a beauty. And I know every crow thinks theirs is the blackest, but she's always had a bunch of boys coming around wanting to date her. So there was one that came around, and he was a player. Do y'all remember that, playa? Remember? So the young people call it playa. My husband's not a player. He doesn't chat at all. So he never sweet talked me, or, you know, he's not that way. Solid, though, solid. I've got good health insurance. But, like, he is never, you know, charmed, you know, not that kind of man. Okay. Well, she had this one coming around. He was a charmer. He was a player. And so he would say to me things like, Miss Morgan, you look beautiful. And I'd be like, Can I make you a casserole? And eventually they broke up, praise God, because I was exhausted. I was blowing my hair out every day and mopping the kitchen floor. In Knoxville, our children's hospital, had asked me for years to be in there Dancing with the Stars. I want to be able to tell y'all it was ABC, but it wasn't. It was in Knoxville, and it was local celebrities. So it's like the weatherman and Phil Fulmer if he didn't have a knee replacement, and you know, people like that. So they had asked me, there's not many celebrities, so they had asked me, and I said, well, I've been eating white flour, and I'm in a bad place, and I don't know. Because they make you wear a bikini with fringe sewn on it, like ABC. You wear outfits like that, so you're practically nude in front of everybody you've ever known. So I said, this is for little children. This is the least I can do. So they put me with a big old boy that was my partner. He was a doll, and it was very stressful. You had to learn to dance. In 6 weeks, you had to learn to dance. You practiced at night, and then you begged for money during the day. It was a lot. And we were going to learn the cha-cha to Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I was going to kill it. Well, one night, he kind of flung me hard, and I thought, oh, something popped. And something doesn't feel right. The next morning, I woke up, and there was this big bulging thing about right here. And I called my girlfriend in Greenville, Tennessee, and I said, I think I've got backed up poop. And she said, because I have trouble with that. But she said, I don't think poop goes up that far. And so she looked on her iPad on WebMD, but she sent me this picture of this man looked like an alien coming out of him. She said, is that it? And I go, that's it. She goes, you've got a hernia. So I went to my doctor, and they said, we can't push this thing back in. And so the thing was in 5 days with the Children's Hospital, and I didn't want to let them down. And I thought, Lord, what are we going to do? And my girls stepped in and learned a dance in 4 days. Bless their hearts, and they're practically nude. And they had to wear all that too. And I came out in a wheelchair to Proud Mary Keep On Turning. In the suit season, Lord, I've always worn a miracle suit, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, but I did a show for a group here in Knoxville, and they were darling. And after I did it, a woman came up to me and she goes, Leanne, are you not going to Sears and buying you a swim dress? And I thought, well, I didn't know my life was over. So she said, you need to go to Sears or order it online with Land's End. And it's a swim dress. She goes, you're going to love it. I promise you. Okay, so I go to Sears at Westtown Mall. When's the last time any of y'all went to Sears at Westtown Mall? There's not a soul in the Westtown Mall Sears. They've got the lights on. There's nobody working. There's nobody there shopping. I swear I think they're running dope out of Sears. But I got me a swim dress, and I am beautiful in it. And I'll tell you why, because it shows my arms. My arms the only thing I've got left living for. And they are my daddy's. Jimmy Fletcher, I got them from him. My sister gets so mad because she didn't get them, and she'll call me and say, you got daddy's arms, and just hang up on me. But this swim dress, okay, it cinches up through here, so it's real flattering right there. And then it comes down and hides all this boogity-boo I got going on right here. And I am beautiful in it. I hate to say that. It kind of looks like Titanic, but for years I wore a miracle suit. Okay, the miracle suit is in Dillard's and Bell, Macy's, or all over. And there'll be hundreds of them in a big area at a department store. And there's a tag hanging from all of them that says, miracle suit. Lose 10 pounds in 10 minutes. And you do, because you sweat yourself to death trying to get it on. Because the miracle suit has a girdle in it. They're one piece. So the girdle is right through here, so it smooths you out real pretty through here. You look really good because it squeezes your fat out in all the other directions, all the other holes. And I would buy it because I felt desperate and I didn't know what else to do. And I didn't feel pretty in them. And then I'd buy a sarong and wrap it around my whole body. And then sit under an umbrella and act like I was reading. But I bought them every year. I had them all the time. And I look back in videos from vacations and I've got them on and it's awful. Okay, so my girlfriend, the one with poop, you remember her? Okay, she found out that I had one. She was like, oh my gosh, I want one. So she drove down from Greenville, Tennessee. And they went to the Dillards. And she brought her 14-year-old daughter with her, and they got in the dressing room at Dillard's, and the 14-year-old was sacking her mama up in this bathing suit. And her 14-year-old said, Mom, this is so gross. Put it back, let's get out of here. She said, I can't, I've got to buy it, I just peed in it. I want to talk to y'all about, because I am 51 and going through hormonal changes. Okay, I am with their daddy, and these children all walked off and left me with him. And he's so not fun. And he can't help it. He's that way because he has to make a living for all of us. And he's got a lot on us, and all the money's going out the window. And, you know, because we got 2 in college, we just had 1 get married. But he and I are having to adjust being together for the first time in how many years, before we got married. And so he sends me emoji, kissy faces, and stuff like that. But I am low on progesterone and testosterone. He's low on testosterone, praise God. I've got too much estrogen, which evidently makes you hateful and bitter and angry. And so I sweat all night, just like I've done jazzercise in the bed all night. And I wake up, I've got sweat right here in the back of my head. My head just looks like fuzz in the back. And my husband, okay, so I put it on 67, and he says, I can see my breath, and that's a lie. But he's having to wear pajamas for the first time in our marriage. And we've got 2 beagle hounds that we're in love with because his children are gone. And so we've got a big one, and he takes the big beagle and spoons the big beagle at night. And I've got the little beagle, the little pocket beagle that we rescued, and she's got a nervous tick and eats our furniture and our fabric like a goat. But anyway, they sleep in the bed with us, and the bed is so nasty. Okay, so the little beagle, so he's spooning the big one. The little beagle backs her little butthole up to my head. And sleeps up against me all night. I love her. And in the morning, I can hear my husband when he gets up, he's kissing that big beagle and he's going, and I'm so thankful. Years ago, when it first came to Knoxville, I was traveling with Paula Dean. And she had these bodyguards that looked like movie stars. And I said, what do y'all do? And they said, CrossFit. And I said, well, I want to do it. Well, me and my friend, Church of God, Becky. Church of God, Becky and I joined the CrossFit in Knoxville. The CrossFit was run at the time by these little children. They were in their early 20s, and they were beautiful. And they looked like movie stars, and their little fannies looked like baseballs. And I wanted my fanny to look like a baseball. So I made Church of God Becky join, and she'll do whatever I say. So anyway, and I call her Church of God Becky because she was raised Church of God. So sweet, sheltered. Like I have to explain things to her. Things like camel toe. So we first get to the CrossFit. And if y'all don't know what CrossFit is, it's military moves like push-ups, pull-ups, burpees. I hate a burpee. Okay, all these things, they would put like a tractor tire in the parking lot, and they'd set little Becky in it, and I would pull Becky across the parking lot as she was holding her purse. So I felt like a bad mama jamma, and I was so tickled and into it. And they came to us one day and they go, we want y'all to be in our contest. It's called a paleo contest. And it's going to be 10 weeks long. The men are going to be against each other and the women, and we're going to take your before and after picture, and whoever's body has changed the most at the end will win 3 months of free training. And I wanted to win that 3 months of free training because I didn't want to have to do something vulgar to my husband for the money. So we're going along, and one day they just pop up and go, okay, it's picture day. We're like, what? And they said, okay, take your top off and leave your exercise bra on and your spandex, your yoga pant, and we're going to take your picture. Well, I didn't want those young boys to not ever want to marry and have children. So I said, Becky and I are going to the back, and I needed to biz my bra so bad. It had no support to it, and it was a gray looking, it was white, but I needed to biz it overnight. I did not know Anyway, we go back to the office, and I'm going to take Becky's picture, and she's going to take mine. And Becky went. And I said, what are you doing, Becky? Do you want to win this thing? I want to win it. So I took my spandex and shoved it under my stomach and went. That picture is on the internet. Let me tell y'all about her. I have treated her different from all the other ones, honey, because, all right, everything that she'd do, like she'd start crying when she's a baby, because babies, you know, the third, fourth, and fifth, you know, they cry, and you just let them. And I'd be like, what's she crying about? She wants your toy? Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. I remember saying one time, you want those knives to play with? Okay. What? Okay. When she was at getting her driver's license, so different from when the first one got his. Honey, he got his, and we were so strict with him. We'd say, you can go to school, but you got to call us when you get there. You can only come home. And then after 6 months, we were like, you can go to Steak and Shake. And then you got to come home. So strict. Then the second one didn't care anything about driving, really didn't start till she was close to 17. Well, this baby wanted hers the day she turned 16. I didn't think she was going to pass it because she doesn't care. So, but she did because she's smart. All right, let me tell you, she's one of those kids that, I know y'all know people like this. Like if I gave her $20 and said, make it to New York tonight, she would do it and have money left over. Like she's, you know, people like that, like got it up. Okay. So she passed that test. I was so mad because I thought, oh, I'm not going to have a baby in the car with me anymore, even though when they're in middle school and high school, isn't that aggravating? When they turn that radio up and it's blasting and I don't like that song and booming and a-doing. And then I'm trying to drive and I feel like when I can't hear, I can't see. Oh, I don't know. It's awful. But she went and got that darn driver's license, and this is how different it was. My love language is words of affirmation. Okay, if you have not taken that test, go get you a book called The 5 Love Languages. My husband and I did it at the Methodist Church. When we were just married, we went on a retreat and we did this. And they have one for your children and they have one for your spouse. So you read it, you take the test, and everybody has a prominent love language. There's 5 of them. And so you find out what your spouse's love language is. And they find out what your love language is, and you feed each other their love language. And then when you do, their love tank feels full. And if they feed you yours, your love tank feels full. If you don't feed them their love language, they go to work. And they're at the water fountain. And some whore comes up. And feeds them their love language. And then they feel a tingle. And then Satan swoops in. Everybody, I think you know where I'm going with that. Okay. So there's 5 love languages. The first one is quality time. You know people that just want you to spend quality time with them. Just them. Okay. Then there's physical touch. I know you girls think, that's my husband. Physical touch. He's on me like a duck on a June bug. But I'm not talking about that kind of physical touch, the nasty kind. I'm talking about, people that just want to squeeze and they're physical and they want to hold your hand, they want to hug on you, that kind of physical touch. Okay, then there's gifts. And that's my sister. She loves, if you've thought about her, it doesn't have to be expensive. If it's a rose, if it's a card, hers is gifts. She feels love and her love tank is full. Mine is words of affirmation. So all my husband has to say is, Leanne, you look beautiful today. Or Leanne, that Trisha Yearwood's chicken piccata is to die for. And then I'm willing to do something vulgar with him. And then he gives me money to get my hair highlighted. You see how that works? That's really biblical. Okay, and then the fifth one is acts of service. So that's my husband's. So I have to, honest to goodness, I have to go in the garage and build a set of shelves for him to feel love. And my boy was 9 years old and we joined Pop Warner football. And y'all take football just as serious as we do in Tennessee. And that little Pop Warner team scared me to death. They meant it, and it was serious, and it was 130 degrees. And the man who was the coach, head coach, his boy was the quarterback, 9 years old, and he was talented. You could tell this child had it. And they worked that little thing like a mule. And I bet that boy is somewhere smoking dope somewhere. And my boy was over there, talking about the Alamo and could have cared less. And my husband played football and he was like, get out there. And everybody was vomiting because it was hot and all that. And then the team mom drank wild turkey out of the back of her truck. Sisters, brothers, and others. Welcome back to the Reporting for Duty, a tribute to our dear and blessed friend, Leslie Jordan. No, that little angel. Okay, y'all know that Leslie was raised in church, and this is the crazy thing. We had mutual friends that he was raised in church with, that I'm close to, and I was raised in church. I think most of us here in the South were. Well, I raised my children in church. I've got 3 that I'm in love with. My boy is my oldest, and then 2 girls. My boy has always been very spiritually mature and an old soul. God did it. Me and my husband did not do it. We're full of sin. But he has always been like a little old man. And when he was in high school, he went on a date with a girl, and he came home, and I said, what have y'all been doing? And he said, well, we've been kissing on the couch. I said, it's okay. That's natural. But I said, baby, before you know it, you've got your arm around somebody, and then you've got your hand on her leg, and then things can get out of control. And he looked at me like I was crazy, and he said, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's ever going to happen. And I know he meant that at that time. And all I could think of was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship. On a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now, because I could get a new purse out of that. Who in here's been to a lock-in? Oh my
Lord, who came up with the lock-in? Who was that sweet fool who came up? I'm sure it was somebody well-meaning that in a committee meeting that said, oh, y'all, let's do something for all the hormonal teenagers. We'll gather them up and put them in the church building and lock the door and turn out the lights and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. Thank y'all. Okay, let's keep this thing going. Thank y'all. Y'all been precious.
I've had 3 beautiful children that I'm in love with. I have a son who is 14 years old now. I cannot believe it. Thank you. And I have 2 little girls that are 11 and 9. And my baby child is in 4th grade now. I cannot believe it. When she went to kindergarten a few years back, that was going to be the first time that I was going to be by myself all day long from 8 to 3, all by myself. I nearly grieved myself to death. I thought, Lord, what am I going to do with all this time on my hands? I hope I don't get hooked on whiskey and start honky-tonking. About 3 weeks into kindergarten, I was like, it's your birthday, Now I ain't gonna get a pap smear without somebody sitting on my head. I'll never forget the day that I found out about her, and I feel terrible about it now. But I was overwhelmed. I knew something wasn't right. I didn't feel good. I thought, oh my gosh, surely I'm not pregnant this quick, this soon. And you know when you got to know something, you got to know it right then. I had to know right then. I grabbed up my 2 babies and diaper bag and all that stuff you take with you everywhere you go, and I went to the Walmart in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And I bought an EPT pregnancy test, and I took it in the stall at Walmart. And I tinkled on it. And my 3-year-old boy looked at me, he said, what, is it positive? And it was. So I drove home just as fast as I could, and I called my husband at work. And I said, you're trying to kill me, aren't you? With a slow vaginal death. Is that what you're trying to? Well, you're not going to. You better get home right now, because I'm going to walk out in the woods and let the animals eat me. But let me explain to y'all why I was so torn up. I had a 13-month-old baby girl in diapers and a 3-year-old little boy in Superman panties with doo-doo balls falling out. At the grocery store. I thought, oh my Lord, did anybody see that? I don't have anything in my purse to pick it up with. Is some little child gonna think it's a milk dud? Let's just keep on moving, everybody. Just keep on moving. But God knew better than I did, because she's been a doll baby, but she's ruined. And I know I'm the one who did it. I was tired and beat down. So, anybody here who has more than 2, you know, good night by that 3rd and 4th one, you got to let them do what they got to do, you know. She still cries over anything. She cries because she knows she gets her way. I said, what's she crying about? She wants your toy. Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. But she's a quirky little thing and fun. She is. She enjoys office work. And for Santa Claus this past Christmas, she wanted a filing cabinet. And that's what she wanted. And she likes, big tape dispensers and all that kind of stuff. And in our house, she has offices set up all over our house. And she's always talked to herself. And we like to sneak and watch her because she'll be doing office work. She has her little Barbie phone or cell phones and old cordless phones, and she'll be calling people up and chewing them out over the phone. She says, well, if you can't get this order in, I'm taking my business elsewhere. She says she wants to work for Geico when she gets older. For her 8th birthday, you know how mamas will call you and say, what's she into? What can I get her? And I said, well, she needs office supplies. My oldest daughter has turned 11, and she's in 6th grade in middle school. And I can tell that puberty is beginning with her. She's crazy. And she's mean as a snake. And we're scared to death of her, but we just tiptoe around her. She cries a lot. She doesn't know why, and she tells us, I don't know why I'm crying. And we just try to get through it. But I'm telling you, she can run a household. She's a grown woman. She has been ever since she got here. So I said, you're going to have to come in here, baby. I said, your daddy's going to take care of y'all. I'm going to Nashville for like 3 days. She bust out crying. I said, what's wrong? She said, don't leave us with him. He doesn't know where the food is. I said, well, that's why you're in charge. And she is. God love her. But my girls are emotional, and I don't mean to talk about them because I love them, and I know they'll visit me in the nursing home. But they are lunatics. My husband says they're psycho, and they need therapy. And I'll give you all an example. I can be in the pickup line at school, and this has happened when they were in 1st grade, and it happens every day when I pick them up at school now. I'm sitting in the pickup line, and I can see them come out, and they are in a good mood. And they're goosing each other and giggling and doing and talking and having a good time. They're waving to the teachers and the principal. See you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over to my vehicle. Get in. Shut the door. My 11-year-old take her backpack and sling it and hit me in the back of the head with it. Every day she says something like this. I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why'd you have her? And then my baby will be sitting up there in a daze. She'll be going, Mama, 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 Mama. What? Mama, Mama, Mama. What? I'm listening. She asked me some of the craziest things. One day she said to me, did Jesus ever have head lice? How do you answer something like that? I said, well, baby, if he did, I know he healed it. And then my girls would be whipping each other in the back seat and telling each other how bad they hate each other and they wished each other were dead. And then my sweet boy will come out. He'll get in and he'll say, you know, they're building a new Home Depot up on 281. Just as happy-go-lucky. He's just like this. He's been like that all of his life. He's 14. He's never sassed me. I know people say it's coming. I'm telling you, I don't think it will. And I'm in love with him. My husband says I have an unhealthy obsession with him. Whatever. And, he's the only one of all my family that doesn't give me any crap. So yes, I am in love with him. And that doll, we want the best for him and we want the best for these children. We want them to be involved in sports. You know, keep them off of dope. But I wanted to tell y'all that my new obsession, what I've gotten obsessed over, because I love sports, I love football, is I've been watching quarterbacks on Netflix. And if y'all have not seen that, y'all got to watch it. They follow 3 quarterbacks, and it's precious Kirk Cousins that loves the Lord. And he is so sweet. And then it's that little Mariota man who is beautiful, and his wife, and he loves his baby, and he's yummy and sweet. And then Patrick Mahomes, honey, Patrick Mahomes. And if you watch that, I'm telling y'all, if y'all watch it, y'all will fall in love with that little thing, and you'll be worried to death about him. Okay. He is the age of my children. I could have birthed him. And I feel like I should have. And I would tend to him. I'm worried sick. All right, that little thing. I was in Denver, Colorado, doing a show the night that the Denver Broncos beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and little Patrick Mahomes had the flu and still played, and they had to give that little thing a bag of fluids. And then he went out there and played in that snow. Okay, if you watch him in that quarterback's thing, oh my Lord, he did something to one of his feet. It was a fracture or a sprain or something, and he kept saying, "I'm good, dog, I'm good, I'm good, dog." And they were like, "You don't have to play." He was like, I'm good, dog." And that little thing hopped on one foot and played a whole game and threw that ball from up in it and flicked it and did it. And I have never seen anything in my life. I'm worried about him because everybody around him, his family, if y'all not gotten into this, y'all need to do a deep dive into this bunch of yahoos. Honey, you talking about some yahoos. Okay. He's got a brother named Jackson who's a TikTok star. On the sideline, while everybody else is working, like, you know, dogs trying to win a football game, he's on the TikTok doing. And then Patrick Mahomes has got a mama who is still wearing a bikini. Good for her. Good for her. And then he's got a little wife that he met in 8th grade. That little thing's been dating her since 8th grade, and it's really sweet. And in this series on Netflix, he loves her, and he wants to be a good daddy and a good husband, and he loves the Lord. He's got faith. And that little thing's working and doing, and in an ice bath, and they're rubbing him down, and everybody's beat on him in every game, and he says, "I'm all right, dog, I'm all right." And then his wife Brittany needs attention, but who doesn't? Who doesn't need attention? And if I were a child like she is, and somebody gave me $90 million, I'd act a fool too. You know, I would. I acted a fool when I was her age, and I didn't have 10 cents. All right. And you'll see on this series, like they're working on him, and he's playing with one foot and doing and barely hanging on and holding up everybody around him. And she is wanting to take selfies. And she's like, "Come over here, take this selfie." And doing that, and he's hopping over.
Look at the picture. And then, if y'all didn't know this, which I'm sure you have heard this, Kelsey and Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is running the United States of America. And now she's going to the bowl games, and you know what? Her uterus is aching. I know it is. Her uterus is aching. And she wants a baby. She wants a baby. And it's time. It's time for her to want a baby. And she wants to breed with that big old Kelsey boy. Of course she does. Of course she does. They're both tall. I mean, I could see it. And then little Taylor Swift looks like she's got a sweet spirit. And you can tell that she's worried about little Brittany. Mahomes needing attention. So ESPN had them in the box, and you could see Taylor holding her hands and singing with her and dancing with her, and had a look on her face like, I better do this or she's going to burn this thing down. But don't y'all know that Taylor Swift looks at that big old Kelsey boy's mama and thinks, look at her, she's got on a sensible shoe. She's got on a sensible shoe and a nice jean, a high waist with some stretch. And don't you know that Taylor Swift is thinking, I know that little doll put in a pot roast in the crock pot before she came to this NFL football game so that they would have something to eat when this thing was over. And you know that his mama browned that roast in a skillet with flour. I know. Of course she wants to have a baby with him and his people. Anyway, thanks for letting me go off on that rant. It's just been on my mind. I'm worried sick. Thank y'all. I'm worried. No, you know what I've been thinking about? I thought about, Lord, Christmas is coming. And now I'm a grandmama, and I'm out making a little money. But when I was a stay-at-home mom, when we first got started out and had little children, I remember thinking, oh my Lord, that Little Tykes kitchen's going to sell out. And my husband doesn't like to let go of money till right at the end of Christmas. And I'm like, I got to get there. I'll do something nasty. I'm going to... Okay, I'll do something nasty in that big Dodge Ram in that mobile home parking lot. Yeah, and then I'll be able to get that Elmo. Yeah. Y'all won't believe the things I've done so my children could have a good Christmas. You know, but they always did. Oh, you little mamas, God love you. And then you got to clean everything and cook and then wrap. I had a good friend that she said to her husband, if you'll wrap 3 Christmas presents, I'll have sex with you. She did. I remember that years ago, and I remember